Good morning. We're going to put open sights on a rifle barrel. I have leather vice jaw pads here in my mill vise. I've got the barrel set up here in my mill vise. I've got the end of the barrel supported here on a support so it can't flex. I have the other end supported with a support here. This is an FN action. The bottom of the action is flat. So what we have to do here is set that flat on this support. This makes this square perpendicular, so when we mount the sights, they will be perpendicular to the bore. It won't be cocked. Everything will be lined up properly. Now we have to find the center of this barrel. You find the center of the barrel with an ingenious little gadget called an edge finder. And this, if you'll notice, can run out of eccentric. Now, I'm going to leave it out of concentric. I'm going to mount it in my drill chuck. Tighten it down. I'm going to bring this down. I'm going to turn on my milling machine. I'm going to slowly adjust my mill here. Adjust this edge finder up to the edge of the barrel. Okay, right there is the edge of the barrel. I have already measured the diameter of this barrel right here. Take 1/2 of that. That will put you on the center of the barrel. But the diameter of this edge finder is 200 thousandths. So to the center of the edge finder will be half that, would be 100 thousandths. So you take half the diameter of the barrel plus 100 thousandths. This is what I've got to adjust this over. And anyway, it happens to come out that I've got to adjust this four hundred and 27 thousandths to the center of the barrel. That'll put us on the center of the barrel. Good morning. I seem to have a considerable number of emails from folks watching our YouTube. What you need to do to work up a load. I have explained some of this something like over a year ago, but I'm going to go through this in some more detail. We're going to talk about working up a load for a 300 Winchester Magnum. 300 Winchester Magnum is one of the very most popular, according to sales of ammunition rifles and reloading dies, of any of the other cartridges. Pretty much taking the lead. You can hunt almost anywhere you want to hunt and kill a vast majority of our game in this country and in any other countries with a 300 Winchester Magnum. And this is part of why I've chosen this cartridge, to detail some aspects of working up a load. One of the first things that we've got to understand is that our loading manuals list maybe 10, 12 powders. Yeah, you can use all those powders in the 300 Winchester Magnum. However, there's always a couple or three powders that work the very best. those are the powders with the slowest burning rate. Those powders with the slowest burning rate fill the case more thoroughly full to near 100% capacity. And this is important because this powder is setting in the case, and when the case is horizontal, if the case is only 2/3 full of powder, now the powder is all laying in the bottom of the case in your rifle chamber. If you've got a pretty full case, let's say you've only got maybe just half a grain or a grain more to go before it's totally full, and there's no shake in the case whatsoever for the powder. Those are the powders that are going to give you the best performance because they thoroughly fill that case. It gives you a situation where you get a much more even burn, a much better ignition situation than perhaps some other powders. The other aspect is these powders build pressure slower. The slower burning powders just simply build pressure slower. I'm going to talk this morning about primers, specifically primers. I don't think that there are very many people that understand the differences in primers. I'm going to try to explain these things, and everything that I explain, I want you to pay detailed attention to everything that I say. I find that people that are listening to my videos are not listening fully to some of the things that I'm saying. So if you listen closely to everything that I say, you can get a grasp of what I'm trying to point out to you. And I'm doing this to save answering some emails that I think that are unnecessary, answering questions. Large rifle primers. Large rifle primers basically come in various degrees of power. What I mean by power, in other words, the ability to ignite powder charges. It should be pretty obvious that somewhat of a milder primer is more ideal for cases that are not large capacity cases, maybe smaller to mid capacity cases. And then we go from mild primers to hot primers, hotter primers, and the hottest primers. These are divided into various categories. Basically, it applies to the application at hand. And I'm going to try to explain over experience what these differences are. Many years ago, somebody tested primers and categorized them as to their power. There's another word that's used, it's called brissets. In other words, the amount of spark that's created there and the length of that spark in various degrees of power. All right. We're going to start with some of the milder primers. The mildest primers that we have available commonly for large rifle are CCI Benchrest 2 and CCI 200 primers. And those primers are, everybody makes a good primer. Don't misunderstand anything there. I'm going to go through all the procedures to set a barrel up and to chamber it. Here's our barrel. I'm going to insert the muzzle in a couple inches into my true chuck. True chuck means that it runs to 0. I always chamber my barrels using a steady rest. I'm a perfectionist. I've done thousands and thousands and thousands of barrels this way, and everything comes out perfect. Now, without anything running, I'm going to run these down, and they're just going to touch. There's no pressure. It's just going to touch. Now I'm going to turn my lathe on with this all lined up. I'm letting this run momentarily. I shut it off. I take each one of these and adjust that very carefully by feel. Now all those are adjusted by a very fine feel to touch this barrel. I'll back my center out. I'll feel this to see that it has absolutely no play in it. This, right now, we've got a perfect alignment with the barrel to chamber on center. Now I might explain that this chamber reamer was manufactured center drilled in each end. That chambering reamer, to begin with, as a blank, turned on centers in a lathe, was rough machined. Then the flutes were cut in the reamer. With this in mind, and everything lined up perfectly, and the center in the tailstock, and the pilot of the reamer running to a correct fit in the bore, and I have my reamers made to fit the bore correctly, with proper procedure, and my many years of experience, I cut a chamber that is correct